how has your job changed from terrestrial radio to the live streaming you're doing now?
I mean, a lot. And I think that when I first went over to Apple from Radio 1, it wasn't a decision that I made based on the fact that I wasn't enjoying doing radio at the BBC. Like, I loved it, and it really is kind of the ultimate if you're a broadcaster to get to work at the BBC. It's just that I recognized that the way you were all listening to music was changing, and the way you were relating to artists was changing, and sharing information was changing. And I wanted to be part of that change. Like, I wanted to chase it and find out where it was going to take all of us. And that was the moment when I realized, like, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. This isn't an experiment anymore. Like, distributions, the way music is distributed is going to change now fundamentally. And so, you know, I waited and sniffed around and looked for the right opportunity. And when the one presented itself, I took it. Getting to your question, when I went over to the United States of America, philosophically, I was ready for change. But practically, I was still treating it like a radio show. I was still treating it like that's all I'm doing. And I learned real fast, like within 4 hours of my first day, that that was completely not the case. And that I was responsible with a very small group of people to, you know, for building it. And the Beats One side of it, and also being, you know, right at the starting point of building Apple Music from a creative point of view. And so it was really overwhelming immediately. And really, I just kind of got my head down and didn't look up for sort of 2.5 years. And when I did, that's when I first kind of realized what had changed. And, you know, I realized I was in the streaming business, not in the radio business. I realized that media now was in everyone's hands. Information was being shared all the time. That I wasn't like this curator that could hold on to the records before everybody else. That you all have the records before anybody else. And that you're sharing them with each other. And that you're all curators. Because every time you like a picture, you're curating your life. And you're sharing something, you're curating your friends' lives. So I had to let go of all the ownership, and that was really, really rewarding and really freeing, and allowed me to listen a lot more and talk a lot less. So I just try to focus on that, and I just try to sort of put artists in the center of everything that I do, creatively and professionally. But it ain't radio anymore, you know? It's a part of it. I still love doing my radio show, but that was kind of all of it before. It was like that was my job, was doing a radio show. I look back on that now and I'm like, what did you do with the rest of your time, you know? And now I consider myself weirdly fortunate that I even had that era of owning songs for a certain period of time before you guys had them, because it makes way more sense how it's done now. Which is, if it's out, you should be able to listen to it immediately once it's finished and they want it to be available, right? Which is what streaming is. Streaming is like, build the numbers up, build the numbers up. You can't build the numbers up if someone's holding on to the song. Why would you give it to a radio DJ to play it and not make it available? It makes zero sense. It's all changed. The way that we can, you know, had the records and what we did with the records has all changed. And again, that's what you guys demanded. You revolutionized it. You took the music back. You decided it was too expensive and average. So, Napster. And then iTunes, which kind of saved the day and kept everything together until streaming. Crazy, eh? All in 20 years, isn't it mad? But what hasn't changed is the desire to amplify and to create, you know, moments around music that feel special, the eventization of it. That's what Beats One was built to do. 1999 to 2000, NSYNC released their album, and it was the largest selling physical album in the history. Over 2 million sold, right, Brian? First week? Yeah. Huge. It was like, oh my God. That was like the end of the hill. You know, yeah. Napster. Literally like 2 weeks later, internet take back. And so that was it. And to be fair, the industry has been trying to find a way to put a framework around that ever since. And that's not dastardly. So as to support artists in a meaningful way. Because remember, free music is great for the consumer, but it's not great for the artist. There's a period in time where making your music available to as many people as possible to get it moving is a smart thing to do. And if that means you have to sacrifice what little income you'd be making at the start of your career anyway, I get it. And that's why SoundCloud has its place. But at some point, you need to have the option of building an industry for yourself, right? You need to have that option. And that's what the industry was fighting to achieve, was an option for you. So, you know, the streaming era is yours. It's not the record labels. It's not the high street record stores. It's not the radios. It's yours. It's in your hands to do with whatever you want. And distribution was never creative. It was always the business part of the release schedule. Now it's creative, right? How many artists do you know and love who find new and interesting and unique ways to release music? You go out there, you hand all your albums out. You make them available for free. You build your listenership up. Millions of listens and plays on SoundCloud. It leads to some live tickets being sold, hard tickets. You're a great live act. You make a name for yourself. You look cool. There's a ton of you. You're moving forward. I love this little guessing game we keep playing. You're moving forward, right? You're Brockhampton. Then you decide when you go to a major label. You decide when it's time to build your industry around yourselves. And that's what they did. And that's why they signed for a ton of money and a ton of creative control, because they used the system to build that framework for themselves, and they transferred it into a business model. That's why it now is good.
I just wondered, whether or what you think about the ethical implications of using artificial intelligence in selecting music.
What do you mean by ethical?
Well, like, for example, if it's being programmed using algorithms,
right?
Yeah,
well, the algorithm is designed to read your behavior and to save you time and save you to offer you a discoverability based on what you like. And so the amount that you feed it is how effective it is. And I'm not talking about our algorithm specifically. I'm talking about the algorithm, right? The concept of an algorithm is there to ultimately learn from you. So yeah, I see how it's artificial intelligence in terms of the term, but really you're feeding your algorithm. You're teaching it what you like, and ultimately it's there to reflect your behavior. What I try to do is I try to influence the influence on the algorithm. So I try to offer you things, if you're interested, if you care, that you might not know about, a sense of discoverability or some kind of added value that you might not already know about, and thereby you can, if you like it, share it, listen to it, stream it, whatever, you will then influence your algorithm based on what we're doing. And that's the differentiator that Apple Music has above other streaming services, is that we offer this discoverability that coincides with the algorithm. Not in contrast to it, the way that it was kind of assumed when we came out. Like we were here to sort of, it was battle of the human versus the algorithm, like it was never that. It was always there to sort of, which would be a shit film. You're sort of there, Beats One and me and Ebro and Julie and Matt and whoever else, Nadeska, we're around. And Elton, John, and Q-Tip, and Drake when he was doing OVO. That's what we mean when we say that we're keeping the human and the algorithm within the same frame. And also, our playlist editors, the people who make the playlist, they're people. We're not doing that via our algorithmic state. We have charts that are algorithmic, and that makes sense. But we like people making decisions, because everything else is up to you. You have way more of the decision-making process in your hands now than ever before. Like, it is the best time ever to be a musician and the best time ever to be a music fan. I honestly believe that. And that's because the artists now can control what you make, on what you make it on, where you make it. Think about the mobility of creation now. I'm going to make a beat. I like it. I'll put it through a mastering software. Sounds good. I'm going to upload it. Done. I'm a social about it. Done. Wow. It's out. Wow. It's connected. Holy shit. I'm Little Nas X. So, if you think about that for a second, and you think about the fact that there's very little barrier in the way of you achieving what you want to achieve, just elbow grease, creativity, authenticity, self-belief, diligence, it's an exciting time. And so if you can do all that, I don't really want it to just go into a process that gets churned out by algorithm. I love the algorithm. It serves me well in my service because I feed it a lot, but I like the human. I like sharing music. I like talking about it. I like hearing about it.
So, like, as a follow-on from that then, if there was a battle between enthusiasm and technology and innovation, which would you say would be the most important?
Oh, enthusiasm. The human experience, always. I mean, that's what gave birth to technology, and innovation was enthusiasm. It starts with enthusiasm. It starts with a passion. And then from there, you apply it into a practical environment and try to inspire and create things that add value. But you're never going to get there if it's just perfunctory from the get-go. It has to come from somewhere in here. You have to feel it.